Hello everybody, my name is RagingRaptor and I am under a blanket for better audio quality, and today we'll have a look at the Adventscalender of 2017. Well, you might ask yourself, but Raging, it's only the 29th of November, how do you know that stuff? I don't. This is more of a prediction video of what tanks could come into that, well, that Adventscalender, and we also have a look at the different stats of those tanks to give you a small but good enough preview to what should you look out for and maybe what tank could you snatch up, which, well, for example, is new. Because, well, I'm not really going through every tank which could come. I guess the Scorpion G and even a Defender could be a part of that Adventscalender, because, well, Wargaming said last year the E25 will be never sold again, and look at that, it was in the Adventscalender. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump into the first tank. And I think this is like 100% certain that this tank will come. Not only did the community contributors made previous videos of the T92 light tank, they also got relieved of their NDA, which means non-disclosure agreement. Yes, they're not allowed to show anything about this tank, but, well, now they did. It was lifted, hence why there were several previews of those people around. So in my opinion, I think this is the 24th of December calendar tank. Because Wargaming so far showed us that on the 24th of December, many different tanks, or a new tank is coming, something which is an oddity. In 2015, as far as I remember, was it the M46 pattern KR. In 2016, it was the Kruppsteier Waffenträger. And so I'm pretty confident enough to say that on the 24th of 2017, it will be the T92 light tank. And, well, this tank from the stats wise looks really amazing, impressive, and I certainly look forward to. The gun is decent enough. Yes, the penetration could actually suck a little bit for a tier 8 light tank, but overall it looks like a fun vehicle. It also is really small, and for being quite small it still has 10 degrees of gun depression, except for being over the cupola. And let's be honest, the tank simply looks great in my opinion. Even got quite good gun elevation for having such an awkward gun. What other tanks do we have? I also think that the ELC Even 90 could be a tank which come in the Adventscalender, not on the 24th though. Sadly enough, this tank got nerfed quite a bit. It had once an amazing clip, but it got nerfed down and it's only 660 damage strong. I don't really want to go too deep into that review or preview, as I already talked about this tank a lot in a separate video. So yeah, I'll leave you a link in the description below. Otherwise, the tank is one of the smallest tanks in the game. It has still 3 crew members to make it a better crew trainer than it would be without them. It used to have only 2, so it actually got a little buff there. But overall, I think it has the best or the second best camouflage value in the game, only being surpassed by what's it called, by the tier 2 or no, tier 3 TD of the French line. Next up, which I don't really think is unlikely, is this Carnarvon Action X. Basically the old Carnarvon before it got buffed into oblivion with its new turret and its new 280 damage gun. The only thing which is different from the normal Carnarvon is that it has the same turret sheets as the Conqueror and the Super Conqueror. Honestly, I am not really looking forward to that tank, because we all know that the Carnarvon sucked with this gun, with this 20-pounder gun, and, well, yeah, now we have it as a premium tank, whoop-de-doo. And as you can see, armor-wise it won't really change. The turret will be still weak, especially up here. Otherwise, yeah, as soon as a tier 10 tank shoots at it, it will have a pretty darn good penetration rate. Yes, when they shoot over at the cheeks, they will probably bounce more often as there are those sheets, but I don't think they make a super big difference. The only big difference, I think, which is actually good, is that this enhanced the called enhanced turret ring was introduced, but still the side armor is completely weak. 50mm won't hold off anything. Lower plate is super weak, can be penetrated with HE easily if you have a certain tank for that, like a KV2 even. But yeah, another oddity or another tank which could come is the T103, and by gosh, this tank is ugly as hell. This is, here comes the live model, and Jesus, it's ugly as hell, and it's a TD. It's a tier 8 TD with roughly the same gun as an IS-4. Just the heat penetration is a little bit weaker, but overall it looks pretty darn similar. The sad part is, as you can see, it is huge. It is even not that unmobile, but as we go back to the collision model, we'll see it has no good armor. Even the turret is quite weak. Yes, the gun mantler is really strong with 260 up to 500mm of effective armor, but the turret front is still rather weak if you hit those plates on the side, as they're only 200mm thick. As soon as you go more to the left or more to the right, the effective armor will ramp up. But don't forget, you have a Liberty syndrome, meaning you have a huge cupola up here which can, well, annoy you quite a bit. Otherwise, the turret ring is immensely huge, the tank in general is huge, and the hull is weak. At least it got -8 degrees of gun depression, which in my opinion is good enough, but it could also be 10. But yeah, that is the T103. It has a good enough DPM, don't get me wrong. 10 seconds reload time for that gun, probably 9.5 with consumables and a good crew. That's decent enough, so. And accuracy wise, it's not too bad either. So I guess it will be a special tank, but in my opinion, it will be nothing compared to the KV4 KTTS. And by God, this tank is already in the game for far too long, and I'm waiting for the tank to be released because I think it is a fantastic vehicle and it simply looks so much fun to play. I even had the chance to have a quick spin in this tank in a training room when I was playing Silver League, and man was it fun, because like sure in training rooms you can't really do much, but this this is simply so much fun. This asymmetrical gun placement or gun arcs, it's simply amazing. You can do so much random stuff with this tank, and if we go into the collision model, you can see it is highly effective armored. So theoretically, if you are going into a side scrape like this, use your gun like this, you will have an almost impenetrable fortress if you play correctly. Hide this part of the tank, only show this part in a nice angled way, and you will have choice with this tank. Plus that it has not that bad of a DPM, the accuracy is also workable with, and the penetration is darn good in my opinion for a heavy TD. It will most likely be played something like a T28, even a bit faster. As you can see, it is slow. It has in the end a 1200 horsepower engine and still quite the frontal armor. Overall, this is a vehicle I am waiting far too long to be released, and the good thing about this vehicle is it is an oddity. It's not something like a T44-100. It's something unique, and as far as I remember, we do not really have any tier 8 Russian TDs. Actually, we only have the ISU 130. Yes, only the ISU 130. And the T103 and, well, now the KV4 KTTS, but none of those tanks are available for the common player. Next up, we have also a tank which, well, got modeled quite well and is quite the beast itself. It's the VK 186.01, and look at that model. It even got a bicycle. How can you not like that model? Seriously, this is a tank which I think would look it wouldn't look, it does look amazing. They really did a great job on that model, and I do like the collision model of that vehicle. The cupola is the obvious weak spot with 150mm. It even has the gun port weak spot, which is also quite cool. And well, you can obviously side scrap with this tank and it will be effective, and it will have the cupola weak spot. And this, honestly, this vehicle would be a much better tank than the VK100.01P. Why? simply because it has frontal weak spots. It has a 150mm cupola and this 140mm gun port, and this is so important in my opinion. I talked tons already about game design, and I think that this vehicle actually is one of the newest vehicles which actually has good game design behind it. It has its obvious weak spots, but it has also some strengths like this 440 damage gun, which can be quite punishing. Then again, don't forget, this tank can still be penetrated by standard AP shells of tier 6 vehicles. The cupola again 150-140mm. I do think that this tank actually could have a chance to be introduced into the game during the Adventscalender. As you can see, it is already finished. It's up and running. The model looks great, and well, it is already in the game for quite some time. Next up though, we have a different tank, being the VK4502P out of B. I think this tank has less of a chance to be introduced into the game. It's sad that it's not really loading how I want it to be. Damn it. Can I get the hybrid though? No, it doesn't want to load that live model. I'm sorry for that. Maybe can I do this? Visual? No. It doesn't really want to load. I'm sorry for that. Basically, it is a tier 7 VKP, or which we normally have on tier 9. The only difference is the turret is only 100mm thick and the hull is only 80mm thick, meaning, well, it is something like the tier 7 Tiger tank or the Tiger 2 tank. Just a lot less armored, so it won't be that good. Personally, I think the probability that this tank comes into the Adventscalender is super low. Because as you can see, it's really badly armored. The gun is not having such a good DPM. It is huge. It is not fast at all. It has no armor, so yeah, it will be more of a XP pinata. So the probability that this tank comes into the game is super low. So what is the next tank which we have? And I also think that this tank is quite low in the probability rate, which is the Tiger 2H, a tier 7 Tiger 2 Henschel turret with the 88mm gun. This H is lingering around on another tank, the Jack Tiger H, which is a tier 8 Jack Tiger with the 12.8cm stock gun. So basically a stock Tiger, a Jack Tiger on tier 8. And well, I think this H stands for historical battle, something Wargaming planned to do, but excuse me, it didn't really finish doing. So yeah, if this tank would be introduced into tier 7 games, I would think this tank will wreck some faces. Why? Because let's be honest, it's a tier 8 Tiger 2 with the strong frontal gun mantle, with the frontal armor. So yeah, if you know how to play a Tiger 2 and would get this tank as a tier 7 vehicle, you would wreck some serious faces. We have 2 more tanks, 2 of them being Russian and 1 of which being a heavy tank, and this is the Object 244. And this tank is already in the game for quite some time, I think around 1.5 years, and well, it is not too bad of a tank. It is basically something like a KV-1S, just not with a big gun, with the 180mm gun, the one gun which normally is on the medium tanks. The mobility could be better, but as far as I saw, it's not too shabby. And then you look at the collision model for a tier 6 heavy tank, which can be quite fast. I think the armor is totally a-okay. And I think it would be a good addition. I don't think it would be broken or anything like that. It looks decent enough balanced, and I don't really dislike the look of the tank anyway. Lastly, we have the T-44 Lightweight. As the name already says, it would be the first tier 8 Russian light tank in the game and one of the other tier 8 light tanks. As you probably saw, Wargaming is trying to introduce all light tanks on tier 8 for their respective 3. The only one which is still missing one would be the Chinese Tank 3, but we have the Type 62 on tier 7, so I think that should be good enough. The T-44 light tank could be a menace when it is top tier, otherwise meh. I don't really think it is that good. 170mm of penetration with AP, 210 with APCR. Could be better. The accuracy in the end is still good. Nothing compared to the T54 lightweight, which is atrociously bad, or the T100 light tank. But it doesn't have the armor protection as a T54 lightweight or a T100 light tank. But god dang, it is still super fast. Anyway guys, that was it for my preview video or my prediction video. What do you think? What tanks could become the Adventscalender tank? And thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll talk to you all later.